So I'm going to walk you through a lesson on creating flowcharts. A flowchart is a schematic representation of an algorithm or process. That is a super fancy way to say it is a visual description showing you how to do something. So here's an example of one. If you wanted to check to see if your dog has food in its bowl, you always have a start oval here to begin with. We're going to talk about why these shapes are certain shapes, but you can probably guess what diamonds have. And start and stop always have a similar shape, and then these are other ones. So you check the dog's bowl. If it is empty, then you put food in the bowl, and then you stop. If it's full, if the answer is no to this, then you're going here. If the answer is yes, I think I switched that around. If the answer is yes, it is empty, then you go pour food. If it's no, you stop. So these are the parts of a flowchart that you need to know, and you can come back to this PowerPoint and take a look at it. All starts and ends will have this oval. All processes, maybe if you're displaying some type of output, it's going to have that rectangle shape. The inputs, if you need a user to input some type of number, then you're going to have this parallelogram thingy here. A decision, a yes-no decision, will have a triangle, and it's almost always a yes-no decision. And occasionally you would have this as a symbol for display. We don't see that too often. If you're going to have some type of just a display but it doesn't need to output a number, you might see that arrows connect each box. So again, the shape is a rounded rectangle. It starts everything. Some flowcharts might not have an end. If it just continues, it loops forever. The process is rectangular. This involves the action or verb. So if you're going to do something, add a value, turn something on, turn something off, rotate it, that's when you're going to use the rectangle. Most of yours will probably be rectangles, the things that you do. The input-output, if you're going to tell the user to input a weight or type in a number, then you're going to have this. And the decision shape is a rhombus. So the answer is either going to be yes or no. So inside this you might type, is a number larger than 10? If yes, then travel maybe to the left. If no, then travel down, and then you'd have other processes attached to these. Does a weight meet the specifications? Yes, no. Has the count been reached? Yes or no. It's always going to be yes or no. And arrows tell you where to go. So they indicate the flow. They're drawn from the output of one to the input of another. Only one arrow can represent the output, but multiple arrows may represent the inputs. So you may have many things going into a box from different processes, but only one thing is going to go out. And the way that would work is if you have a rhombus before it that allows the diamond that allows a yes and no answer, and then they could come back together again. So here's an example. If you're going to make a flowchart to count from 1 to 9 by odd numbers, first you have to decide what is the output going to be, and then again what's the first block. So I don't know, this is a sweet little picture of something, I don't know what that is. So if you're counting from 1 to 9 by odd numbers, what is the output going to be? So pause this and count from 1 to 9 by odd numbers. Alright, you should have counted 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah, that's right. The first block always is going to be what? Did you say start? If you did, you are a genius. So the output's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and the start block is first. So the program begins with number 1, with the number 1. So if you're going to actually do a flowchart, you have a start block, and then you have input 1. If you wanted to count 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, then in this situation, the programmer is saying we want the user to type an input of 1. So that's why it's a parallelogram. If it's just the computer that's processing something and maybe the computer is displaying a 1, then it would be a rectangle and it would say computer shows a 1 or something like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to state the number. So maybe your program would have started with say 1 instead of input 1. If you wanted to do it as a non-person based input. But this is how we've started it. A start, the user is inputting 1, and now we have to actually say that number. So we're saying 1. And now we need to add 2 so that we're counting 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So the next thing we do is a process. Again, it's add 2. And now we have a decision. Is the number greater than 9? If it's not, go back and say the number. So we started with 1 and we said 1. We've added 2. It's not greater than 9. So now we say it. So 1 plus 2 is 3. And then we add 2 more, that's 5. We haven't said it yet. Now we say 5. Add 2 more, we say 7. Add 2 more, we say 9, because 9 is not greater than 9. And now from 9 we add 2 more. Now it's 11. So is a number greater than 9? Yes. So we need to have another output, a yes output onto here. And then it ends. So what you've done is you've said 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. What is the final number value at this point? Is it 9? No, it was 11. Because we said 9 here, we added 2 more to make 11, and then this told us to end it. So it doesn't have to end on 9, it ended on 11. We just didn't say the number. We didn't display that.
Now that you know a little bit about flowcharts, it's your turn. So you're going to go to the next lesson and watch a video on how to create a flowchart on Google Drawing.